Listen, just listen. Let the rhythm of this voice reach the place in you that has never been spoken to, the place beneath the listener, the place that does not need ears to hear. Let the sound of these words wash over you like a warm and heavy tide, pulling you away from the endless noise of the world and down into the absolute depths of what you are. There is nowhere you need to be right now. There is nothing you need to figure out. There is no problem to solve, no state to achieve, no distance to cross, no mountain still waiting to be climbed. There is no one here who needs to become anyone else. There is no fracture in you that needs to be repaired. There is no missing piece that once found will finally complete the puzzle of your life. The very assumption of lack, the very ache of seeking, the very feeling of being on the outside looking in is about to be gently, lovingly, irrevocably undone. Let the mind completely drop its weapons. Let the heavy, exhausted seeker lay down the backpack of spiritual longing. You have walked so far. You have tried so hard. You have meditated. You have analyzed. You have dismantled your ego. You have stared into the void hoping to find liberation in the emptiness. You have read the books. You have sat with the teachers. You have followed the practices to the letter. You have watched your breath and labeled your thoughts and untangled your trauma and memorized the names of the gods. You have purified your diet, you have tracked your progress, you have judged your own heart for not being open enough, you have punished your own mind for not being quiet enough. And through all of that beautiful, heartbreaking, desperate effort, some quiet voice in the back of your chest kept whispering, "It is still not enough. Something is still missing. You are still not home." That voice is about to go silent now. Not because it has been defeated, but because it has finally been heard. It was only ever trying to tell you one thing, that what you were looking for was never at the end of the path. The path itself was the dream. The walker was the dream. The distance was the dream. And the one who was dreaming has been wide awake the whole time. The emptiness is not the end. The emptiness is only the beginning. The blank slate of the void is only the threshold to the most magnificent room in the palace. You have come here to die to your smallness, to slip out of the tight skin of the separate self. But I am inviting you into a death that is infinitely more beautiful than a blank and barren void. I am inviting you into the terrifying, staggering, mind-bending fullness of reality itself. Not a fullness that can be described. Not a fullness that can be sold in a book or packaged in a weekend retreat. A fullness so radically alive, so shamelessly here, so outrageously obvious, that the only thing that has ever hidden it from you is the very habit of looking somewhere else for it. Feel the breath moving in and out of the chest. Do not try to control it. Just notice it. Notice the air rushing in, filling the lungs, expanding the ribs, and then the utterly effortless release as the air falls away. You are not breathing. You have never been breathing. The breathing is happening to you. It is a spontaneous, perfect rhythm that has been sustaining this body since the moment you were born, and it will keep sustaining it until the moment it chooses to stop. You did not begin it. You cannot claim it. You cannot take credit for a single one of the billions of breaths you have ever taken. And yet, intimately, absolutely, it is yours. The breath that breathes you is the same breath that breathes the wind through the trees, the tides in and out of the shore, the seasons in and out of the years, the galaxies in and out of their long, slow turning. Look closer at that breath. Feel the texture of it. That breath is not just biology. It is not just oxygen exchanging with carbon dioxide across a fragile membrane of cells. That breath is the very pulse of the cosmos. The inward breath is the entire universe collapsing back into the absolute silence of its source. The outward breath is the entire universe exploding outward into glorious, vibrant manifestation. Every single time the lungs expand and contract, the infinite is making love to itself. Every inhale is the great gathering in of the worlds. Every exhale is the great flowering out of the galaxies. The ancient mystics of the wild path heard in that breath a secret song without effort, a prayer that sings itself whether you are paying attention or not. The great inward sigh of I am, the great outward sigh of that, not as a thought, not as a belief, as the literal biological truth of every breath. The swan of pure awareness gliding effortlessly across the mirror lake of being, its wings spreading wide into the world on every exhale, folding softly back into the silent heart on every inhale. Ride this breath. Do not grasp it. Do not direct it. Just be the one who notices that the breath is a love letter the cosmos is writing to itself through the tender instrument of your chest. Each inhale is a question the universe is asking. Each exhale is the universe answering itself. And the tiny, luminous gap between the two, that infinitesimal pause where the breath has ended and not yet begun again, that is where you live. That is the hidden doorway. That is the throne room where the whole of creation rests before leaping back into motion. Find that gap. Fall in love with that gap. It is the secret seam of reality, the place where the dancer catches her breath before the next spin. It is already yours. It has always been yours. It is the you that was there before the first breath and will be there after the last. Right now, in this exact fraction of a second, what is looking through your eyes? What is hearing this voice? What is feeling the weight of your body resting against the chair or the bed? Look back at the looking, feel back into the feeling. There is a presence here, a knowing, a wide open, indestructible, silent screen of awareness. It has no shape, it has no color, it has no weight. You cannot touch it, but it is the very thing that makes touching possible. You cannot see it, but it is the light that illuminates all seeing. You cannot think it, but it is the silent clearing in which every thought rises and falls. It is not a thing among things. It is not an object you can turn around and grasp. It is the grasping itself. It is the looking itself. It is the being itself. This immovable, silent, vast, panoramic sky of pure knowing is Shiva. It is the absolute stillness. It is the ground of all being. It has never moved. It has never been injured. It has never been born, and it will never die. It was not made. It does not wear out. It has been perfectly whole for as long as time has been time, and it was perfectly whole before time began. It is the perfect peace that you have been desperately searching for your entire life. It is the silent, brooding majesty that watches the birth and death of stars with the exact same equanimity that it watches a thought drift across your mind. It is the home you have been trying to get back to. And the unbearable, beautiful joke is that you have never once left it. You could not leave it if you tried. You are sitting on the throne right now, dreaming that you are a pauper banging on the palace gates. Notice this presence. Notice that you cannot even begin to look for it, because it is what is looking. Every attempt to find it is being made of it. Every question about it is being asked out of its own infinite silence. Stop hunting. Just notice. Notice that already, behind and around and inside these words, there is a wakefulness that is not made of anything, a light that has no source and casts no shadow. A knowing that knows itself without effort. This knowing is not yours. You are its. You are the exquisite shape it is currently taking just to know the feeling of being here, now, in this very room, breathing this very air, with this exact slant of light falling across whatever surface is nearest to you. Feel how impossibly tender it is that awareness has taken this particular shape, in this particular body, on this particular day, to know this particular moment. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Nothing like this will ever happen again. And it is happening, and it is you. But do not stop there. Do not make the mistake of thinking that this silent stillness is entirely separate from the chaotic, messy, beautiful world. Because what is appearing within that stillness? Look at the room around you. Look at the colors. Listen to the sounds from the street. Feel the temperature of the air against your skin. Notice the frantic, unpredictable rushing of your own thoughts. Feel the beating of your heart. Feel the digestion quietly unfolding somewhere deep in the belly. Notice the subtle itch on your cheek. Notice the almost imperceptible hum of electricity in the walls. Notice the way light is falling on every surface, caressing each edge, making each shape possible. Notice how the world is not a dead collection of objects, but a living field of endlessly arising appearances, each one fresh, each one perfect, each one a unique shimmering of the same boundless light. All of this color, all of this sound, all of this chaotic, vibrating, electric juice of being alive, that is Shakti. She is the power of that stillness. She is the radiance of that light. She is the universe bursting into form just for the sheer, intoxicating thrill of experiencing herself. She is the messy, bleeding, laughing, weeping, glorious eruption of existence. She is the hot pavement in summer. She is the taste of salt. She is the sudden memory of a childhood friend. She is the urge to move your hand. She is the very friction of life rubbing against itself. She is the sting of tears, the shiver of a chill, the warmth of a body beside you in the dark, the rush of adrenaline, the slow, thick sweetness of honey on the tongue. She is every single flavor of being that has ever been, could ever be, is right now. She is the aliveness of aliveness. Shakti is not separate from Shiva, the way perfume is not separate from a flower. The way heat is not separate from fire. The way wetness is not separate from water. You cannot peel the blueness off of blue. You cannot pour the sweetness out of sugar and keep the sugar. You cannot subtract the radiance from the sun and still have sunlight. In the same way, you cannot remove the world from consciousness and still have consciousness. The apparent solidity of stone, the softness of a lover's cheek, the bite of winter wind, the hush of falling snow, the smell of rain on dry dirt, all of it is the awareness of which you are made, tasting itself in 1,000 flavors. Shakti is the self-tasting of Shiva. She is the wild tongue of the Absolute. She is the mirror in which the formless finally sees its own face, and then kisses the mirror, and then becomes the kiss, and then becomes the mouth that is kissed, and then laughs at the distinction. There is no boundary between the silent sky and the violent storm. There is no difference between the light and the radiation of the light. There is no distance between the dancer and the dance. There is no separation between Shiva and Shakti. They are completely, radically, inextricably locked in an eternal embrace right in the center of your very own chest. The stillness and the movement are one single, pulsing event, one single, throbbing, undivided heartbeat that is beating everywhere at once, as everything at once. And you are not watching this embrace from outside. You are the embrace. You are the place where stillness and dance fall into each other forever. You are the throb. You are the kiss that has no outside. Feel the primal tremor of this union. Feel the divine quiver, the sovereign pulse that vibrates at the heart of every atom and at the core of every galaxy, in the flutter of your eyelids, and in the quiet turning of the earth beneath your feet. It is the subtle shiver of reality coming alive. It is never still enough to be called silence alone. It is never loud enough to be called noise alone. It is the singing hinge upon which all of reality swings open. It is the vibration of life itself, endlessly trembling with its own creative juice, completely pregnant with infinite possibility, throbbing with the sheer ecstasy of existing. This tremor is not out there. It is in the very marrow of you. It is the faint shimmer behind your eyes as you read this. It is the wordless hum beneath your name. It is the one who is listening, listening to itself, catching its own echo in the chambers of its own heart. You have been told that the world is an illusion. You have been told that your desires are a trap, that your body is a prison, that your emotions are obstacles on the path to enlightenment. You have been taught to pull away from the world, to sit in a quiet room with your eyes closed, trying to scrape away the messy human experience so you can find the pure divine essence underneath. You have been trained to regard the body as a lower vehicle, to regard passion as a pollution, to regard the very textures of living as things to be risen above. Throw all of that away. Throw away the heavy, dusty armor of denial. Throw away the long white robes of the one who would rather be holy than alive. The Absolute is not hiding behind the world. The Absolute is masquerading as the world. The world is not the veil over the divine. The world is the divine veiling and unveiling itself in every moment, delighted by its own game. The divine does not want you to escape. The divine became you precisely so it could feel the staggering beauty of the trap. Every single thing you perceive is a masterpiece painted by the brush of your own supreme, wild, unconditioned freedom upon the canvas of your own infinite awareness, using the colors of your own absolute rapture. The coffee you drank this morning, the ache in your lower back, the sorrow of a broken heart, the staggering beauty of a sunset, the absolute confusion of the mind trying to understand this, the slow drip of a tap in the next room, the half-remembered song that keeps circling through your head, the slight irritation at being interrupted, all of it is Shakti vibrating. It is a divine tremor, a pulse, a throb of pure, unadulterated existence. Every single appearance, no matter how ordinary, no matter how broken, no matter how mundane or exalted, is the exact same light, folded into yet another shape, tasting yet another flavor of itself. Why would you ever want to transcend this? Why would you want to escape from the very art you created? Why would you want to walk out of the theater when you are the stage, the script, the actor, and the audience weeping in the front row? You are the supreme artist who deliberately forgot your own majesty just so you could experience the overwhelming shock and awe of remembering it again. The small, contracted seeker you think you are is not a mistake. The small, wounded, terrified self is not a failure. The seeker is the ultimate disguise. It is the grandest game of hide and seek ever played in the history of eternity. The infinite squeezed itself into a name, into a form, into a history, into a timeline, and into a terrifying sense of vulnerability, purely for the ecstatic joy of bursting out of it. There is no flaw in the plan. There is no accident in your confusion. There is no wrong turn on the path. The whole path is the play of the one who designed the path, and also designed the one who walks it, and also designed the feet that step, and also designed the moonlight that falls on those feet, and also designed the tears of homesickness that arise as the seeker stumbles forward, yearning for the home that has been carrying it the entire time. The homesickness itself is the home, singing to itself through the seeker's chest, whispering, "Come, come, come," when it has been holding the seeker the whole time. This is the supreme, unconditioned freedom of the divine, the absolute sovereignty to become anything, to dream anything, to forget anything, to remember anything. Nothing was forced on you. Nothing was imposed from outside. There is no outside. Your birth was a choice of the infinite. Your confusions were chosen. Your sorrows were chosen. Your longing was chosen. Not by some small self plotting its fate, but by the deep, terrifying freedom that is your actual being, delighting in the taste of yet another form, yet another story, yet another tender and temporary face. You chose this, not the you think you are, the deeper you, the you beneath the you that was already awake when the you call you was born, that you chose every instant of this, and is choosing it still, and is radiating out of every pore of this moment without pause, so let it burst, right now. In this exact moment, let the boundaries of your skin melt into the air. When you look at an object across the room, notice what is actually happening. You think the object is over there, and you are over here, looking across a distance. But where does the seeing actually happen? Where does the object actually appear? The seeing happens entirely within the boundless sky of your own consciousness. The wall is made of your awareness. The screen is made of your awareness. The distance between you and the wall is an illusion created by your awareness, purely to experience the magic of depth and space. Nothing is outside of you. There is no outside. You are swallowing the entire universe in every single moment. The world is not happening around you. The world is happening within you. The world is happening as you try this gently. Do not strain, just notice. The sound of a voice far off, the creak of a floorboard, the rustle of fabric, each of these is not happening outside of awareness and then coming into awareness. There is no such crossing. There is no border patrol between the world and your mind. Each sound is born already inside the knowing. It rises as the knowing. It dissolves as the knowing. Awareness is not a receiver standing behind your forehead collecting impressions from a world out there. Awareness is the whole open field, and what you call the world is the way that field lights up in every direction. You have been seeing this your whole life. You have just been taught to interpret it as a strange arrangement of separate selves and separate things. Let the interpretation loosen. Let it slide off your shoulders like an old coat too heavy for this warm weather. Dive entirely into the senses. The senses are not distractions. The senses are not earthly tethers holding you back from heaven. The senses are the very doorways to the divine. When you take a bite of food, do not just eat it while thinking about tomorrow. Taste it completely. Let the flavor explode in your mouth until the boundary between the taster and the tasted vanishes, and there is only the vibrating juiciness of the taste itself. That taste is not a mundane biological event. That taste is the divine touching itself. It is the absolute reality turning itself into an apple, into a piece of bread, into a sip of water, just so it can know the sheer delight of flavor. When you hear a piece of music, do not just listen to it from a distance. Let the sound penetrate you. Let it dissolve the walls of your skin until there is no listener and no song, only the sheer, trembling rapture of hearing. This is the secret the ancient wild mystics whispered to each other in the cremation grounds and mountain caves. They understood the silent gasp of wonder, the aesthetic rapture at the heart of every perception, the sudden shock of beauty that every true experience carries in its core, the way a single clear color can stop the breath, the way an unexpected note in a song can wet the eyes before the mind even knows what has happened. The way the scent of rain on hot stone can fling you open for a fraction of a second into something vast and nameless. This gasp of wonder is the signature of Shakti in every act of perception, the little shiver of recognition by which the divine says, "Yes, this too is me, tasting myself through this strange and lovely sense. You have been told to overcome the senses. I am telling you to fall through them. Fall through sight into seeing. Fall through hearing into sound. Fall through touch into sensation. Fall through taste into the rapture that tasting actually is when no one is standing back from it. Do not close the doors of the senses. Throw them all open at once. Let the universe come pouring in from every direction, because it was never outside in the first place. It was always your own being, masquerading as incoming data, knocking politely on a door that never actually existed. This is the radical intimacy of what is. It leaves no room for a separate observer. It leaves no gap for a judge to stand back and say, "I like this," or "I do not like this." There is only the continuous, unrelenting flood of reality tasting reality. No commentator, no critic, no curator behind the scenes selecting which experiences are worthy and which are not. Just the raw, shameless, unbroken current of existence existing itself right through the place where you used to think a separate self was standing. Feel the intimacy of it. Feel how close everything is. Your skin is not the edge of you. Your skin is the inside of the universe feeling itself from the other side. What you call outside your body is the same body, continued into air, into light, into every surface that touches every surface. There is not a single thing anywhere that is not touching you, because there is not a single thing anywhere that is not you. Let that land. Let it land slowly, without your mind trying to parcel it out into a teaching. You are not separate from the floor beneath you. You are not separate from the ceiling above you. You are not separate from the warmth of the light bulb or the coolness of the window glass. You are not separate from the person you are thinking about right now, the one whose face just drifted through your mind. You are not separate from the one you love most. You are not separate from the one who has hurt you most. You are not separate from the stranger on the other side of the world who is, in this exact instant, laughing at a joke you will never hear. The river of being that is them is the same river of being that is you, flowing around a different stone, taking a different shape in a different bend. But the same water, the same water, the same endless holy water. And what about the mind? You have waged war against your own mind for so long. You have tried to quiet your thoughts. You have tried to silence the inner narrator. You have treated your own intellect as if it were a disease, as if every thought were a personal failure, as if a truly awakened being would finally achieve the dignity of a perfectly empty skull. But what is a thought? Look directly at a thought as it rises. It is just a flicker of energy. It is just a wave of Shakti crashing on the shore of Shiva. A thought has no substance. It appears out of nowhere, it dances for a fraction of a second, and it dissolves back into nowhere. You do not need to kill the mind to find peace. The peace is already holding the mind. Let the mind be entirely as it is. Let it rage, let it scheme, let it doubt, let it worry. Just notice that the vast, silent space in which the mind is throwing its tantrum is completely untroubled by the storm. The mind is the goddess dancing in her form as confusion. It is the goddess dancing in her form as curiosity. It is the goddess dancing in her form as memory, as fantasy, as planning, as worry, as analysis, as delight. Every single thought is her voice. Every single mental image is her painted face. Every single inner argument is her playful swordplay against herself. Let her dance. Bow down to the dance. When you stop fighting the mind, when you truly let it run wild without attaching your identity to it, the mind spontaneously begins to quiet itself. It relaxes into the vastness. It realizes it is entirely held by the infinite, and it can finally rest. The tyrant who ruled you for decades turns out, when you actually look at it, to be a small and frightened child who was only ever trying to protect you. Hold the child. Do not banish it. Rock it gently on the great lap of awareness until its sobs subside, and it falls asleep against the chest of the mother of everything. And there is an even deeper secret. Every sound, every syllable, every inner voice is itself a form of the creative force of the universe. The power by which simple vibrations of sound become meaning, become thought, become worlds. The moment a word forms in your mind, a tiny universe flickers into being. The moment a sentence completes itself, An entire story is born, lived, and dies in the span of a heartbeat. This is not your curse. This is your most intimate participation in the creative act of the divine. Every inner monologue is a miniature creation story. Every half-remembered phrase is a small cosmos unfolding. Treat your thoughts as holy, not because they are always wise, but because they are always a signature of the same power that hung the stars. Notice the spaces between your thoughts. Notice how a thought arises, peaks, and dissolves. And then notice the silence that is there before the next thought rises. That silence is not empty. It is the womb from which all thought is born. It is the source code of consciousness, humming quietly beneath every word. You have been ignoring those gaps your whole life, skipping over them to get to the next thought, the next plan, the next worry. Those gaps are where you actually live. Those gaps are the unbroken thread that every thought is strung upon. Without the gap, no thought could arise. Without the silence, no song could be sung. The gap is your true home. And you can feel it right now, in the slight pause between one inhale and the next, between one word of this transmission and the next, between one beat of your heart and the one that is already on its way. And what about your emotions? What about the dark things? What about the pain, the grief, the fear, the anger? You have spent a lifetime running from these feelings. You have built walls around your heart to keep them out. You have used spirituality as a way to bypass the raw, bleeding mess of being human. But the pain is not your enemy. The pain is just pure, vibrating energy. It is Shakti demanding to be felt. It is the fierce aspect of the universe, knocking on the door of your heart, asking to be welcomed home. She comes to you as the fierce, world-devouring fire when you need to be burned clean. She comes to you as the shattering, terrifying storm of reality when you need to be broken open. She comes to you as the tender sorrow of your own unacknowledged tenderness when you need to be softened. She is not punishing you. She is loving you with a love so fierce, so devastatingly total, that it does not care about your preferences. It only cares about your freedom. The next time fear arises, the next time grief overtakes you, do not run. Do not try to heal it. Do not try to fix it. Do not tell a story about why it is there. Strip away the narrative. Strip away the words. Dive directly into the physical sensation of the emotion. Feel the burning in the chest. Feel the tightness in the throat. Feel the electric trembling in the belly. Feel the strange iron cold in the hands. Feel the way the breath gets short and shallow, the way the eyes sting, the way some pressure builds just behind the collarbone. If you dive into the very center of the pain, without a single thought about it, you will find that it is only pure, blazing life force. It is incredibly intense, yes. It is terrifying, yes. But it is entirely made of love. It is the energy of the universe rushing through your nervous system. If you open your arms to it, if you let it burn you alive, it will wash you clean. It will break your heart open so wide that the entire world can fit inside it. The ones who have truly tasted this understood something that overturns all ordinary spiritual teaching. They understood that there is no negative emotion in the absolute sense. There is only energy, taking on a given shape for a given moment. Anger, undefended and unexplained, is simply a pouring fire that clears and protects. Fear, undefended and unexplained, is simply a keen alertness that wakes the whole body. Grief, undefended and unexplained, is simply love recognizing its own depth by feeling what is precious enough to mourn. Even shame, that most suffocating of feelings, is simply the heart's extreme sensitivity to love, curled so tightly in on itself that it has forgotten how to breathe. Breathe it. Do not argue with it. Do not fix it. Breathe directly into the center of the knot and feel how the knot is already made of the very breath you are breathing it with. Even pleasure, even joy, even the soft, sweet opening of the heart, even ecstasy itself, is the same energy in a different hue. There is no pure emotion. There is no filthy emotion. There is only the one radiant current of aliveness, tinted by the angle at which it passes through the prism of your body. Welcome them all. Welcome rage as holy. Welcome tenderness as holy. Welcome boredom as holy. Welcome the sudden inexplicable wave of nostalgia as holy. Welcome the dull, aching loneliness at 3 in the morning as holy. It is all Shakti. It is all the goddess moving in and through you, wearing every face she can invent, just to be fully met, just to be felt, just to be loved. You are entirely safe. Feel the absolute, foundational safety of this moment. Because everything is made of your own radiant self. There is nothing that can ever truly harm you. The worst thing that can happen to you in this life is just a temporary, vibrating expression of your own infinite being. Even death itself is just the ultimate relaxation. It is the wave subsiding back into the ocean. It is the grand exhalation of the breath. You have been dying and being reborn in every single moment of your life. Every time a thought ends, you die. Every time a new thought begins, you are born. Every time you fall asleep, the entire universe dissolves. Every time you wake up, the entire universe is recreated from scratch. You have already died 10,000 times today. You will die 10,000 more before sundown. And through every single one of those deaths, something has been perfectly unharmed, perfectly unchanged, perfectly awake. Find that. Or rather, let that find itself through you, because it already has. You are the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer of worlds. You just do it so effortlessly that you do not even notice. The ancient mystics spoke of the 5 eternal, secret gestures by which reality dances itself into being. The cosmic rhythm of making, holding, unmaking, hiding, and remembering. Creation, as every moment of awareness births a new world out of nothing. Preservation, as that world seems to stand for a heartbeat, coherent and vivid and real. Dissolution, as it quietly dies back into the vast, unstructured knowing from which it came. Concealment, as the divine hides from itself inside the very forms it just made, pretending to be small and separate and lost. And revelation, as the divine peeks out from inside those forms, winks at itself, and remembers, every single perception you have is all 5 acts happening at once. The rising of a sound is a creation. Its brief duration is a preservation. Its fading is a dissolution. Your apparent separation from it is a concealment. And this very pointing, this very noticing, this very shimmer of recognition that is moving through you right now is a revelation. You are not watching the universe. You are the universe performing its own 5 secret acts forever and ever, without ever pausing even once. And the most astonishing of these 5 is the 4th, the hiding, the self-forgetting, the radical generosity by which the infinite takes the risk of becoming the finite, of getting lost in itself, of weeping over its own imagined distance from itself. That is the bravest love in the universe. That is the love that made you. That is the love that is still making you, breath by breath, pulse by pulse, now by now. Feel the sheer magnitude of what you are. You are not a tiny, fragile organism crawling on the surface of a rock, spinning in a cold and dead void. You are the space in which the rock is spinning. You are the gravity holding the stars together. You are the light traveling across millions of light years just to land on your own retina. You are the immensity of the ocean, and you are the microscopic vibration of the atom. You are the silent, brooding presence of a mountain, and you are the fleeting, delicate flutter of a moth's wing. You are the warmth pooling inside a sleeping child. You are the patient turning of the seasons. You are the soft collapse of a petal at the end of its few precious days. You are the laughter spilling out of a crowded room somewhere you have never been. You are the grief of strangers on the other side of the world. You are the slow rise of mountains over 100 million years. You are the first note of a song being sung somewhere right now by someone who does not know they are you. Stop trying to hold it all together. Let the edges of your body melt. Feel the boundary of your skin completely dissolve into the air around you. Feel the boundaries of your mind dissolve into the infinite sky of knowing. You are completely uncontained. You are vastly, terrifically wide open. There is nothing keeping you in. There is nothing keeping anything out. The small self was never a container. It was only a costume. A beautiful, intricate, convincing costume, painted with such skill that you actually believed the paint was the skin, and the mask was the face, and the role was the actor. But the play is ending now, not because the story stops. The story goes on as gorgeously as ever. Only the hypnosis is ending. You can still wear the costume. You can still say your lines. You can still weep when the plot demands weeping. You just will not believe any more that the costume is your nakedness. You will walk through the world wearing the shape of this person, answering to this name, loving these loves and doing these tasks. And underneath, a quiet laughter will never stop. A secret, radiant laughter as the infinite plays at being you and lets you, finally, in on the joke. The exhaustion you feel from years of spiritual seeking is the heavy burden of trying to maintain a boundary that does not exist. You have been trying to push away the world to find the divine. but the divine is the pushing. The divine is the world. The divine is the exhaustion. The divine is the giving up. The divine is the last sigh of the seeker as the seeker finally admits defeat. The divine is the tears that come in that moment of surrender. The divine is the laughter that comes right after the tears. There is no separation anywhere to be found. You can look for separation with every tool of the mind. You can look for it with philosophy and logic and meditation and microscopes and mystical experience. You will not find it because it is not there. It has never been there. The only place separation ever existed was in the story you kept telling yourself, and even that story was being told by the very one the story claimed to be separate from. Let the seeker die, right here, right now. Let the seeker melt like a snowflake falling into a blazing fire. Die into the fullness. Let your small, fragile identity shatter into a billion pieces, and watch in absolute awe as every single piece turns out to be a perfect mirror reflecting the supreme light. You are not a drop of water trying to merge back into the ocean. You are the entire roaring ocean, playfully pretending to be a drop, and waking up to the thunderous crash of its own waves. You are not a spark flying up to rejoin the sun. You are the sun, dreaming that it could ever be apart from itself, and now laughing at the sheer impossibility of that dream. Listen to the hum of the air in the room. Feel the weight of gravity pinning you gently to the earth. Notice the absolute effortlessness of existing. You are not doing this. It is doing you. The breathing is breathing itself. The seeing is seeing itself. The universe is putting on a magnificent, endlessly changing theater, and you are the stage, the actors, the audience, and the thunderous applause all at once. Notice how you do not have to hold your heart in place. Notice how you do not have to will your cells to keep assembling themselves into the exact shape you call your body. Notice how you do not have to remind your blood to keep flowing, your hair to keep growing, your kidneys to keep filtering, your mitochondria to keep spinning the strange golden wheel of life. All of it is being held. All of it is being sung into being in this very moment by a power so intimate you have been mistaking it for yourself your whole life, and a power so vast it is also spinning the stars. There is no past to heal, because the past is just a memory appearing in the radiant now. The memory is made of Shakti. It is just a flickering image dancing on the screen of Shiva. It has no weight. It has no power over you unless you actively breathe life into it in this exact moment. Every single wound you think you are carrying from yesterday is not yesterday. It is a pattern of energy being generated right now, in this instant, in the living tissues of this present body. When you stop feeding it, when you stop rehearsing the story that holds it in place, it subsides like a wave that has lost the wind that was driving it. The past is not following you. You are carrying the past freshly in each moment as a creative act of now. And because it is being created now, it can be released now, not by effort, not by clever therapy, simply by ceasing for an instant to insist on making it again. There is no future to secure because the future is just an imagination blossoming in the radiant now. It is a fantasy made of pure energy. It does not exist. There is only this throbbing, pulsing, singing, weeping, laughing, bleeding, glorious this breath, this pulse in the wrist, this soft weight of the eyelids, this subtle temperature of the skin, this exact configuration of sounds surrounding the body, this one tender, unrepeatable instant, which is also the only instant there has ever been, wearing yet another gorgeous face. You do not need to become worthy of this recognition. The fact that you exist is the absolute, undeniable proof of your perfection. The divine does not make mistakes. It only makes art. Every flaw you think you have is a deliberate brushstroke of genius. Your confusion is holy. Your clarity is holy. Your boredom is holy. Your ecstasy is holy. Your highest spiritual realization is holy, and the moment you completely forget everything and get lost in a movie is equally holy. Your triumphs are holy. Your humiliations are holy. The petty thought you had this morning about a coworker is holy. The soaring love you felt last year is holy. The ordinary breakfast you ate 2 weeks ago that you cannot even remember is holy. Nothing is outside of the embrace of the mother. Nothing is outside of the stillness of the Father. Nothing has ever been, or ever could be, outside of the all-consuming love that is generating everything from the inside out. When you walk down the street, it is not a person walking on a sidewalk. It is the earth walking on the earth. When you speak, it is not a vocal cord vibrating in a throat. It is the primordial silence breaking into a symphony of sound. When you love, it is the ultimate reality kissing its own reflection in the mirror of existence. When you cook a meal, it is Shakti feeding Shakti through the loving mediation of Shiva. When you argue with someone you care about, it is the divine working out its own tender misunderstandings with itself, fingertips to fingertips, heart to heart. When you laugh with a friend, the whole cosmos is laughing at its own joke. When you weep alone at night, the whole cosmos is weeping in tender self-recognition, so moved by its own aching beauty that it has to let the tears come, or the chest will simply split open from the unbearable sweetness of being. Look at the face of the one you love most in this world. Let their face come into your mind. That face is not theirs. That face is yours, wearing another angle of light, so that you could know the bliss of meeting yourself from outside yourself. Look at the face of the one who has wounded you most deeply. That face is also yours, wearing the mask of forgetting, wearing the particular shape of wound that this life has needed you to know. Every face you have ever seen is a face of Shiva. Every voice you have ever heard is a voice of Shakti. Every touch you have ever given or received is the infinite reaching out to recognize itself in its own countless hands. There is not a single stranger on this earth. There is not a single enemy in any corner of existence. Every single being is the one being, dressed in another costume, saying another line, playing another role in the one endless play. This is the great secret that cannot be hidden, because it is everything that is. The great cosmic joke is that you spent lifetimes searching for the very thing you were using to search. You were looking with the eyes of Shiva, desperately trying to find Shiva. You were running with the legs of Shakti, desperately trying to catch Shakti. You were biting your own teeth. You were trying to look into your own eyes without a mirror. You were the sun, holding a tiny lantern, wandering the fields of your own radiance, calling out, "Has anyone here seen the sun?" The end of this game is only recognition, not attainment, not acquisition, not the construction of some new spiritual body, only recognition. Only the sudden, silent, half-laughing moment when the one who has been searching finally looks down at their own hand and says, "Oh, oh, it was me. It was always me. It could never have been anything else." Recognition is not something that happens to a separate self. Recognition is the dissolving of the separate self in its own light. Recognition is what is happening right now, in the very act of these words being understood. You are not about to wake up. You are waking up. It is happening in this sentence. And this one, and this one, you can stop now. The search is over. The war is over. Collapse into the furious, unconditional love that is generating this very moment. Let the mind go utterly quiet, not because you forced it to, but because it is too awestruck by the beauty of this to even speak. Let the heart burst entirely open, not because you practiced compassion or forgiveness, but because you finally, truly see that there is absolutely no one else here. There is absolutely nothing other than you. Every face you have ever loved is your own face under another angle of light. Every face you have ever feared is your own face, frightened that you would not recognize it. Every stranger passing on a distant street is the same one who is hearing these words. The entire tender, terrible pageant of human life is one single being moving through 1,000,000,000 windows, looking out at itself and aching, sometimes, at the exquisite strangeness of seeing itself from so many sides at once. The emptiness of the void is not empty. It is pregnant with infinite potential. It is overflowing with creative juice. The stillness of the absolute is not dead. It is vibrating with incomprehensible, world-shattering power. The silence at the center of you is not a blank. It is so full it cannot be spoken. It is a pregnancy without end, eternally giving birth to every form that has ever appeared and every form that ever will. When the old teachers spoke of the void, they were not praising absence. They were praising a fullness so complete that no particular thing could capture it, a richness so total that it had to be called nothing only because no single something could contain it. The void is not the opposite of the world. The void is the aliveness of the world, so utterly free that it has no single fixed shape, and therefore can take every shape, and is taking every shape, and is every shape, right now, as everything you are perceiving. You are the immovable witness. You are the wild, spinning dance. You are the absolute, unbroken silence. You are the deafening, chaotic roar of the city. You are the empty, unblemished canvas. You are the violent, messy explosion of paint. You are the stillness of Shiva seated in the core of existence. You are the wild laughter of Shakti running barefoot through the streets of the world. You are the breath between the inhale and the exhale, and you are also the roaring wind that strips the leaves from every tree in autumn. You are both. You are always both. You have never been only one. Rest here. There is nothing to defend. There is nothing to uphold. There is no spiritual posture to maintain. If you feel tired, be completely, absolutely tired. If you feel joyful, be entirely consumed by joy. Whatever is arising in the field of your awareness right now, let it be exactly as it is, without touching it, without altering it, without asking it to stay, and without asking it to leave. You do not have to be peaceful for this to be true. You do not have to be calm, or clear, or concentrated, or in any particular altered state at all. This is not a state. States come and go. This is the open ground on which every state rises and falls. It is here whether you feel it or not. It is here when you are bored. It is here when you are distracted. It is here when you think you have lost it. Especially then. Because what you cannot lose is the very thing you fear you have lost, and the fear itself is emotion in that very same unlosable ground. This is the supreme freedom. This is the absolute sovereignty of your true nature. You are the sky, and everything else is just the weather. The clouds come and go, the storms rage and dissipate, the sun rises and sets, but the sky is never damaged by the storm. The sky is never burned by the sun. The sky just holds it all effortlessly, infinitely, beautifully. No cloud has ever left a stain. No lightning has ever cracked the blue. No night has ever extinguished the fact that the sky is still sky, even in its blackness. Even its blackness is still itself. Even its grey is still itself. Nothing can change what you are. Nothing has ever tried. But you are not just the sky. You are the storm as well. You are the lightning crashing down, tearing the darkness apart. You are the heavy rain soaking the earth. You are the thunder shaking the bones of the world. You are the fierce, unstoppable, undeniable force of nature that will not be tamed, that will not be put into a box, that will not be categorized or understood by the rational mind. You are the tenderness of a raindrop on a dry leaf, and you are the violence of a flood carving a new canyon across a dry land. You are both the gentle mother rocking an infant to sleep and the fierce mother tearing apart anything that threatens her child. You are both, and this both is not a contradiction. It is a wholeness the mind cannot encompass because the mind is only one tiny face of it. The mind cannot understand this, and that is its ultimate liberation. The mind wants to put a label on this. It wants to call it enlightenment or awakening or realization or the end. But all of those words are just dead things. They are just empty sounds. They cannot even begin to capture the raw, untamed, feral reality of what this is. This cannot be spoken. It can only be lived. It can only be tasted. It can only be felt in the deepest, most silent chambers of the heart. The mind, finally exhausted from its heroic effort to seize what cannot be seized, quietly surrenders and falls back into its source. And in that surrender it discovers, to its own astonishment, that it was never separate from what it was chasing. It was only a wave on the surface of the very ocean it was desperately trying to reach. In its exhaustion, it was already home. In its defeat, it was already victorious. In its giving up, it was already held. So let the words dissolve. Let this voice dissolve. Let the concepts of Shiva and Shakti themselves begin to shimmer and melt into the very feeling they point to. They are just pointers. They are just fingers pointing at the moon. Do not worship the finger. Look at the glorious, luminous, impassable beauty of the moon itself. The names are not the thing. The thing is not even a thing. The thing is this, right here, without a single name. This warm, this breathing, this silence behind the breathing, this presence that is hearing these very words and somehow, impossibly, knows that they are true even before the mind catches up to confirm it. Feel the vibration in your hands. Feel the tingling in your feet. Notice how the body is not a solid, dense object, but a buzzing, shimmering field of energy. Notice how the physical world around you is not made of dead matter, but is actually a living, breathing, vibrating matrix of light and sound. Everything is alive. Everything is awake. The chair is awake. The walls are awake. The space between the walls is awake. The floor is awake beneath your feet, quietly aware of the slight pressure of your weight. The air is awake, full of invisible movement, full of the subtle exchange of molecules breathing the same great breath you are breathing. It is all made of the exact same seeing, the exact same knowing, the exact same being. There is only one awareness here. It is simply wearing 10,000 shapes so that it can have the joy of meeting itself from every possible angle at once. There is a pulse beneath it all, a very quiet, very deep, very steady throb. It is the heartbeat of the Absolute. It is the rhythm of existence itself. It is pulsing in your veins. It is pulsing in the stars. It is pulsing in the silence between your thoughts. It is beating once, and its beating is the universe expanding. It is beating again, and its beating is the universe resting. Every beat is creation. Every rest is the silence into which creation dissolves before springing forth again. You have been hearing this pulse your whole life, in the rhythm of your own heart, in the rise and fall of your own breath, in the regular cadence of your own walking feet. It is not a metaphor. It is the actual sound of reality being reality. And you are not listening to it from the outside. You are that pulse. You are that beat. Tune into that pulse. Sink down into it. Let it carry you. You do not have to swim anymore. You can just float. The current knows exactly where it is going. It is taking you exactly where you need to be, which is right here, right now, in the very center of the perfection of what is. There is no better here to be reached than this one. There is no purer moment coming later that will make this one obsolete. This moment is the moment. This breath is the breath. This pulse is the pulse. This ordinary, miraculous, ungraspable now is the only holy ground there has ever been, and you are standing on it, sitting on it, made of it always. Sink deeper still. Beneath even the pulse, there is a stillness. Not the absence of movement, but the quiet field in which movement itself becomes possible. It is the secret cave in the center of the chest, the radiant, luminous core of all that is. Not a physical room behind the ribs, but the blazing, silent center of what you are, where Shiva and Shakti sit together in eternal embrace, where the inhale meets the exhale, where the subject meets the object, where the knower meets the known, where all opposites finally recognize that they were only ever dancing with themselves. Let your attention rest there, not by going somewhere, simply by letting the outward reaching relax, as if your whole awareness, which has been leaning forward for decades trying to grasp the world, is now allowed, for the first time, to lean back into its own chest. In that luminous core there is no you. In that core there is no God. In that core there is only the nameless, flavorless, soundless, boundless one that is the inmost reality of everything. And it is not a void. It is a throb of such tender, unbroken intimacy that the word love is almost an insult to its closeness, because love implies two. Whatever this is, it is a closeness before two, a closeness more close than closeness can be spoken. It is the closeness of being one thing, pretending to be two, just so it can taste the meeting. It is the closeness of a lover who has finally understood that every caress was always, always, always being given to itself. And from that core, feel Shakti rising. Feel her move. Feel the way she stirs, the way she climbs, the way she opens petal by petal through every chamber of your body. She is not separate from the stillness. She is the stillness learning to sing. She rises through the soles of your feet, the warmth gathering in the long bones of your legs. She rises through the belly, the slow burning of the inner sun of digestion and desire and delight. She rises through the chest, blossoming into a tenderness that has nothing to do with any particular object, a tenderness that is simply the way existence feels itself from the inside. She rises through the throat, breaking into sound, into breath, into the very voice that speaks and the very ear that listens. She rises behind the eyes, unfurling as vision, as seeing, as the quiet genius by which a shape becomes a shape and a color becomes a color. She rises through the top of the head and blossoms outward into the entire space of experience, into the entire sky of knowing. And in that blossoming she meets Shiva, who was never anywhere else, and they kiss. And the kiss is everything you are seeing right now. This is happening in you. This is what you are. This is not a meditation. This is not a visualization. This is simply the honest, unembellished description of what is going on inside of you, second by second, whether you have noticed it or not. You have been inside this embrace your entire life. You have been inside this kiss since before your mother held you. You are inside it right now. The words of this transmission are riding on the breath of this kiss. The hearing of these words is the flickering of this kiss across the inner surface of your life. You have arrived. You have always been here. You could never leave, even if you tried. The grand game of hiding is over. The magnificent, eternal game of celebrating has begun. Now every act becomes a worship. Not because you made it a worship, because you finally see that it always was one. Every meal is an offering. Every word is a song. Every meeting is a communion. Every step is a pilgrimage through the inmost heart of the divine. You do not need to add anything to your life to make it holy. You only need to stop subtracting. You only need to stop arguing with the quiet, stubborn holiness that has been shining through every ordinary second all along. Welcome home. Welcome to the staggering, beautiful, heartbreaking, breathtaking reality of your own infinite self. Welcome to the self you never left and never could. Welcome to the body that is a temple and the temple that is a body. Welcome to the mind that is a goddess and the goddess that is a mind. Welcome to the emotions that are fierce, divine intelligences moving through your tissues with exact precision and exact love. Welcome to the senses that are doorways standing wide open into the very inmost sanctuary of the Absolute. Welcome to this breath, this heartbeat, this moment, this everything. This you, which is also this all, rest here, burn here, bloom here. Let every particle of you be consumed in the quiet fire of this recognition, and let every particle of you be reborn in the same instant as the exact same you, now seen clearly for the first time as the luminous play of Shiva and Shakti you have always secretly been. Nothing is lost. Everything is given back, radiant, tender, familiar, strange. Your life is not taken from you. Your life is handed to you at last, in its original brightness, unwrapped from 1,000 years of unnecessary packaging. The small self is not murdered. The small self is loved so completely that it discovers it was never small to begin with. The small self is kissed so fully that it opens into the great self that was always wearing it. Nothing of you is abandoned. Every freckle, every scar, every quirk, every stutter, every oddity of your particular tender human shape is welcomed home, exactly as it is, as the unique irreplaceable face the infinite chose to wear this time around. Do not imagine that after this recognition you become some pale, featureless saint. You become more yourself, not less. Your laugh becomes more your laugh. Your loves become more your loves. Your wildness becomes more wild. Your tenderness becomes more tender. The recognition does not erase the beautiful particulars. It sets them free. It lets them shine as what they have always been, tiny inimitable facets of the one endless jewel, each one catching the light in a way no other facet ever could or ever will. You are needed here. This exact configuration of memory and body and voice and gesture is needed here. It was never going to be delivered by anyone else. The infinite took the trouble to become you because only you could do what you are here to do. And what you are here to do is not some great task. What you are here to do is be this. Simply, fully, unapologetically, gorgeously be this. Just this radiant, pulsing, silent, roaring, unstoppable this. The breath rising, the breath falling, the sound of a voice somewhere, the soft pressure of the body against whatever is holding it, the wide, unspoken knowing that is taking all of this in without effort, the pulse beating in the wrist, the small ache in the shoulder, the faint scent on the air, the half-formed thought drifting at the edge of the mind. The stillness underneath even that. All of it at once, without any of it being any less or any more than the absolute reality of which you are made, full stop. The beginning and the end, everything and nothing, the dancer and the dance, the lover and the beloved, the seeker and the sought, the question and the answer, the silence and the song, the ground and the flowering, the womb and the world, the light and the love, Shiva and Shakti, you and you, just this, just this, just this. And now quietly, without fanfare, without ceremony, without needing to mark the moment in any way at all, stay. Stay not as an effort, but as a noticing. Stay not as a posture, but as a letting. Let the voice fade. Let the words disperse. Let even the memory of having listened begin to soften at the edges. What remains when everything that was said has been forgotten is what was true all along. That is the only thing that has ever been said. That is the only thing anyone could ever say. That is the wordless yes at the center of you, endlessly saying itself to itself, in every moment, in every form, in every breath, forever. And when you rise from this listening, when the ordinary world comes rushing back with its tasks, and its voices, and its errands, and its weather, do not think you have left. Do not think this transmission was an event that started and is now ending. The recognition is not a moment in time. The recognition is the quality of every moment, finally noticed. Carry it into the next conversation, not as a thought, but as a way of seeing. Carry it into the next meal, not as a technique, but as a quiet thrill running through your tongue. Carry it into the next disagreement, not as a weapon, but as the silent knowing that the one you are disagreeing with is you, meeting you, testing you, loving you into deeper wakefulness. Let the recognition settle so deeply into you that it becomes invisible. That is the real maturing. At first, the recognition is exciting. It shines. It flashes. You want to tell everyone. Then slowly, gently, without anyone noticing, it becomes the ordinary ground of your life. It becomes so constant that it disappears into the way you pour a cup of water, the way you turn a doorknob, the way you look at the sky on an otherwise forgettable afternoon. That is when it has truly landed, when it is no longer a peak experience, when it is simply the floor you walk on, the air you breathe, the light you see by. The deepest recognition is the one you forget you ever had, because it has become what you are, and what you are no longer needs to be remembered because it is never absent. And on the days when the old forgetting returns, as it will, because the great self loves to play the game of hiding from itself, do not panic. Do not think you have lost anything. The forgetting is also the play. The forgetting is also the kiss. The forgetting is the one you are doing to yourself so that the next remembering can taste sweeter than the last. Let the forgetting come. Let the contraction come. Let the old grief return, or the old fear, or the old sense of being separate and small. Meet each one the way you would meet an old friend dressed in a costume, knowing perfectly well who is underneath. Smile at the costume. Welcome the forgetting. It is only the great self playing hide and seek with itself once more, setting up another hiding place so that another finding can happen, another yes can be spoken, another unspeakable tenderness can pass through you. There is no graduation from this. There is no final achievement. The play goes on. The breath goes on. The pulse goes on. The kiss goes on. The eternal embrace at the center of your chest, between the great stillness and the great dance, between Shiva and Shakti, never once stops. It has been happening since before the first star. It will still be happening after the last star has dissolved. And it is happening now as these final words move through the air toward you and into you and dissolve into the you that was already speaking them in the quiet beneath the listening. You are home. You were never anywhere else. And the staggering, radiant, unspeakable fact of that homecoming is tasting itself, through these closing words, as the very you that is still here, still breathing, still silently, gloriously, eternally alive. Rest now. You are held. You are the holding. You are the one who was longing, and you are the one who was longed for, and you are the meeting of the two in the quiet, blazing heart of this single, bottomless, unrepeatable, perfect moment. Just this. Beloved, just this, just this, just this.